It's said that the first thing you notice about someone is their smile. Or I guess in some cases, it's their lack of one. Here's a quick history lesson for you guys. Have you ever noticed how pictures taken for the 1950s always come out so stoic and serious? I mean, take a look at them. If you look at them, it's just a bunch of people glaring at the camera. Well, one reason for this is because camera technology back then simply wasn't very advanced. It took 7 to 8 minutes just to take one picture. And let's be honest, most people weren't really keen on holding their smiles for that long. That isn't the only reason though, because even after camera technology developed, it would take 75 years for smiling in photographs to become normal. Now, why is that? It's because 100 years ago, smiling had a very different connotation than it does today. When we think of smiles, we think of happiness, joy, laughter, something good. But back then, smiling in photographs was a social stigma. Because in artwork, smiling was used to portray drunks, fools, buffoons, riffraff, general troublemakers, and especially in an era where photography was really expensive, people didn't want to shell out a fortune just to be slapped those labels. Of course, today we embrace a wide range of gestures, expressions, and emotions, smiling one of them. I mean, I feel like I hear the word cheese used to make someone smile for a picture far more often than I do in conversations about the food. But just as in camera technology and culture have evolved over the years, the meaning and power of the smile have too. I really don't think we're that conscious about our smiles. How we smile, why we smile, but most importantly, how we use them. Of course, smiles come naturally to us whenever something good happens, right? When we're happy. But physically and psychologically, they're far more complex than that. And understanding these aspects of the smile can turn yours into one of the most important assets you have. Today, I want to talk about how something so small, just a couple of facial muscles in your teeth, can transform your relationships, your confidence, your mental health, and even your success. So let's start simple, shall we? Can I have everyone in the audience smile for me just a little bit? Now, you might not notice because you're looking directly at me, but the room feels so much brighter already. I can tell that most of you have been brushing your teeth, but even if you haven't, don't worry, I won't tell you about this. Now, some of you might be smiling because of that bad joke, but even if you weren't, what if I told you that your smile has the exact same impact on your mood and mental state, regardless of whether you're smiling genuinely? Now, just the physical act of smiling releases chemicals like serotonin and dopamine that are associated with motivation and well-being. These hormones calm the nervous system down and reduce stress levels. It's interesting that they do this even if their smile isn't prompted by happiness. And this says something about human body. Psychologists call this a facial impact effect. It's the hypothesis that just as how happiness can trigger a smile may be able to make you happy, even if only some. And this has important, connotations. And this has important connotations for mental health, right? Because if you can make yourself happier by smiling, there are so many possibilities to be unlocked now. Now, I have to give you a huge disclaimer. Smiling is not a cure-all. Like most modern medicines, the effects of smiling only mask the symptoms of poor mental health. It won't treat the root cause. If you have conditions like anxiety or depression, those will still exist. But like my Duolingo lessons and street, keeping motivated to do my daily Vietnamese lesson, prolonged periods of negative emotions can lead to some really harmful downward spirals that smiles can serve as a reset button for. Research from the Stanford Report, NPR, even the National Institutes of Health suggests that your brain doesn't really distinguish between a forced and a natural smile. They have the exact same effect on you. So next time you smile, remember that you can make yourself happier just by smiling. And so now that we have a little bit more context about the internal effects of smiling, let's move on to the external effects. Can I get everyone to smile with me again? Thank you. Now, I had originally done this as like a confidence booster for myself because it's easier to be up here if like everyone looks like they're enjoying my speech, right? But looking into the crowd, I see a group of people that look far more confident than they did just a second earlier. Because smiles ultimately are social cues, and you might have heard this already, but humans are very social animals. So smiles, derive tangible benefit. In job interviews, candidates who smile more frequently or smile often are reported as not only confident, but competent. Teachers who smile more often report greater engagement from their students. And in salespeople who exhibit joyful behavior or frequent smiles report a 15% increase in sales compared to the counterparts who don't. And think about it this way. You're more likely to work with someone who you notice smiles often. You're more likely to help someone who smiles frequently. You're more likely to shake someone's hand and strike a deal with them if they're smiling. Facial cues like smiling shape our decisions before logical answers are mine, because no matter how rational we consider ourselves to be, it is without a doubt that we are also incredibly emotionally driven. Now, another fun biological tidbit is that we've evolved through mirror neurons. This means that whenever we see someone smile, we tend to subconsciously mimic it with a yawn. And this means that the effect of your smile does not end with you. It moves through your environment, through your community. If you're that teacher I mentioned earlier, your smiles are reflected in your students. If you're giving a presentation, maybe in the executives you're pitching to. And if you happen to be giving a TED Talk, your smile is emulated by the audience. I mean, it was feeling pretty weird to smile while I was up here frowning at you guys, right? So keep in mind that when you smile, you might be affecting the entire trajectory of an interaction with someone. And smiles can be leveraged to alter how people perceive and react to you. Something that can be used to create beneficial situations for yourselves. With this perspective in mind, you can understand why models for product advertisements are always smiling, why actors and politicians have really white teeth, why the global orthodontics industry is worth over $8 billion, a number that's expected to more than double in 10 years. As you can see, smiling is an incredibly powerful tool, and I hope this conversation will get a little more conscious of the power of a smile. Because your face is always communicating whether you like it or not, and being aware of what you're communicating is important. But forget all the benefits I'm talking about regarding your smile, because if your smile is genuine, influence just comes naturally. People will just want to talk to you. People will want to trust you and listen to you. And just maybe, they might want to smile along with you too. So, the next time you do anything, really, I want you to recall the power of the smile. When you wake up in the morning and get ready for the day, remember that you never fully rest without one. And now for something I've always wanted to say, thank you for coming to my TED Talk.